While the TVs do an interview, just no flash photography, as it will impact on our interviews. But once the TVs are done, feel free to snap away when we go to written. So we'll get started with from Scott.
Hi. Just give us an indication as to why you took the job. What's the attraction to you?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, I'm always attracted to challenges, and I know this job will be a challenge. So that's first and foremost. I like challenges. I prefer that to the easy life, if you like. I also believe there's lots of potential in the team and in the squad. And the main reason really is, the size of the club and the history of the club, and the fact that I can empathise with the players, and I can empathise with the supporters as well, because I've played in front of them. I've been here for some very, very big playoff games when Birmingham were in the Championship many moons ago, and I've sampled the atmosphere, and it was just something that, as an overall picture, I couldn't turn down.
You had 2 seasons here as a player. Is it a special club for you?
Yeah, it is a special. Yeah, it is a special club. I think you always have an affinity to every club you play for. From a personal point of view, I mean, I stepped down from Derby, from the Premier League, so it was almost a step backwards for me in some ways. But the second I stepped onto the pitch, I realised what a special place it can be. I had 2 very, very good seasons, in 2 of the best seasons I've had in terms of being a player, which a lot of that was down to Trevor and the way that Trevor managed me and allowed me a little bit of freedom to play at right back. But I enjoyed it immensely, and I think those experiences and those evenings and those Saturday afternoons stay with you for a long, long time. And certainly when I came into management or came into coaching, this is obviously one of the clubs you look at and think, maybe one day I'll get the opportunity to manage that club.
You say you like a challenge. One off the bottom of the table in the Championship, lost 8-0 in the last game. The problems that the club has behind the scenes are quite well documented. I mean, just how big a challenge is this?
Well, I think firstly, from a football point of view, it's a decent starting point. Things can only improve, and things need to improve very quickly. And obviously, I've got to try and assess that very quickly. Put our ideas as staff, my ideas into the players, and try to very, very quickly get some short-term results. Long-term, obviously, the idea is to build the philosophy from the playing side that we have done over the previous two and a half years. But it certainly doesn't faze me. I'm immensely looking forward to working with the players. I've worked with them this morning. They were very, very receptive to our ideas. They worked very, very hard, and I've said to them exactly those things. If you work very hard for me and you have a real togetherness about you, I can accept the occasional lack of quality or the occasional misplaced pass, and I'll try to work with them with that and try to improve them as much as we can.
How did you find the mood among the players?
Excellent, yeah, excellent, very, very positive this morning. I've outlined exactly what we'll bring to the team and what we'll bring, and I've outlined exactly what I will expect in return. And I think it's important to do that the first meeting. As I said, really good feedback in terms of how they're trained. A very different session, I think, for them. Some of them found it very different to previously, but that's 2 different types of managers and 2 different managers. So it's not for me to judge anything that's happened previously. It's for me to quickly make my own mark, and my staff to make that mark, and again see if we can improve very, very quickly.
You took Burton to the playoffs twice. You were at the final last season. Realistically, what's the target for this season?
Yeah, I think realistically the target has to be to get out the bottom 3 as quickly as possible, and then to see if we can climb up the table. It's as simple as that. So we know that instantly that's going to be a challenge, and an exciting challenge for me, and I think the players should see that as an exciting challenge as well. And very, very quickly, like I've said previously, try and get a team that goes out there on a Saturday afternoon or on a Tuesday evening, and the fans can actually relate to the passion and the ethos and the work ethic and the commitment that they will want to see in their team that wear that blue shirt. So I think that's the immediate aims, and I believe that is possible.
Are you looking at bringing players in? I mean, the loan system is there. Financially, presumably, your hands are fairly tied.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've had good conversation with Panos and obviously the people around the club over the last week or last few days. And there's certainly an opportunity for me to bring 2 or 3 players in if that's what I see needs to be done. I think the easiest thing for me would be to judge the squad on results and from afar and instantly try to change that. What I'd like to do certainly is to, on the back of Saturday's game, certainly give the players an opportunity to prove to me that they're good enough and prove to me that they're worthy of a place in the Birmingham City first team on Saturday against Wolves, and then from there we'll try and assess very quickly what we feel we need and try and bring those players in if that's what we feel is required.
Being a manager in the Championship is a pretty precarious position. Do you have any concerns over your future here? No,
absolutely none whatsoever. Again, I've been very fortunate to be at a club like Burton Albion, which I'm honoured to have been a part of for the last, nearly 6 years. And if I wanted job security, then that would probably be the best place to stay. I could probably stay there for another 10 years. But the point for me is it's not about that. It's about taking the next step. We've done a lot of good work there. Our record in the Cup, I think, shows that we've got the ability to produce a team to win against Championship sides, against Premier League sides that we showed this season, against QPR in the Cup. And I think, for us, it's about the challenge and the next natural step, which is to test ourselves further. I believe our philosophy and I believe our methods are certainly, transferable into the Championship. Thank you.
Gary, you mentioned that obviously Trevor had signed you for the Blues back in '98.
Yeah.
Did you seek Trevor's advice before accepting this job?
No, I've not. I've had lots and lots of good luck messages, which is great, from all sorts of people that have been connected with a club in the past, previous managers, previous people that have been here, lots of ex-teammates of mine. But no, I didn't. No, I've got a brief overview of the club and the situation. That obviously, I'm like everyone else. You see that in the media, in the press, and I think for me, a lot of it is about coming in and judging all that, for face value. I know what the club can become. I know that maybe that's a longer road ahead than perhaps it might have been previously, but long journeys are started with very, very small steps, and I think it's important for us to try and make those steps as quickly as we can, and start to improve and start to progress short term, certainly.
You're taking the job on with your eyes wide open in terms of what the club's ownership problems are.
Yeah, absolutely. They couldn't be any more wide open. But again, when you've been a part of this club, I think it's one of the clubs around that always draws you back. And I think certainly, it was a job that I just couldn't turn down with all the so-called issues and so-called problems. For me, it's about improving the team. It's about working with the players. That's what I've done for 10 years as a coach. Since I finished playing, I took probably 2 months to reflect on a career-ending injury, and then straight into coaching. Learn the role, try to learn it properly. Don't be an ex-player that just wants to get a job for the sake of it. I wanted to learn and try and improve, and I'm at the point now where I feel I'm more than capable and more than ready for this step up.
Has this club hit rock bottom, or could things get worse before they get better?
I don't know. That's a difficult question for me to answer. But all I can say is, from yesterday evening at about 8 o'clock, my thoughts are straight away, and all of my time will be thrown into how we can improve things, how we can drive the players on with our enthusiasm and our energy, and how we can try to straight away get a team playing better football, of course, to get better results, but certainly become a team that's much harder to beat and much harder to play against, and that's certainly the short-term goal.
Every Blues fan will want to know what's going to change under Gary Rowett.
Yeah, again, it's very difficult for me to answer that based on what's been done previously, because that's not my issue. That's not my job to judge anyone else. Everyone, I'm sure, tries their best to get results, and that's the job we're in. We're judged on that solely. what I'll do is, and what my staff will do is, just as importantly, because we're a team, is diligently, assess everything that's been done, work for everything we think we can improve short term, and try to again impart our philosophy, impart our style of play onto the team straight away. We've done that this morning. We've had a very, very tough session, which I think the players have enjoyed. They found it hard. One or two of them have said they found it hard, but that's what we're here for. We're certainly not here to sit around and wait for something to happen. We'll try and make that happen with the work we do with the team.
How big is the gulf between the Blues team that you played for in the late 1990s and the Blues team you're managing now?
Again, when you're a player, you don't notice so much of the equality around. We certainly had some good players there, but I think the key thing for me is that team wasn't just a bunch of good players. There was a really good ethos around it. Hence, a lot of the texts I've had from and a lot of the kind words from previous teammates. And I think that was the basis. The basis of any good team I've ever played for or ever worked with has been a real togetherness and a real work ethic. And that's certainly something that we can get into this side straight away. Then obviously we'll look to try and improve it gradually and see if there's certain areas that we need to improve. We'll try to do that, but the first and foremost is to get the team working very, very hard for each other and to get as much character and desire into that team as quickly as possible. Thank you.
So open up to the written press and non-white talk radio as well.
Gary, you came out of the Premier League from Derby to join manager. Now you're joining them as manager after an 8-0 defeat and second from bottom. Have you got a bit of a death wish when it comes to this?
No, I think, listen, I think you can look at it two ways, can't you? You can look at it and say, the team are low in confidence. You can look at it and say the team are rock bottom. But I think that sometimes, a group of men need to be brought to rock bottom for them to regrow and regenerate, and that's what I'll look to do. I won't see that as necessarily a negative. I'll try to give them all the opportunity to atone for the. I mean, I've not even mentioned the weekend's game to them. I've been a player, as a manager. We lost 2 games 7-1. You've got a choice, haven't you? You either start crying about it and sit and do nothing, or you roll your sleeves up and you get on with it and you try to get a response from not just the staff but the players as well. And I'll certainly give them the opportunity to do that this week in terms of a training. And as I said, seen a very good response this morning with the players, and that's all I can judge it on.
Clearly, the pull of the club was a major factor.
Yeah, I think so. Again, I've not played for tons and tons of clubs, so I've got 3 or 4 clubs that probably I'd have more of a natural affinity to, and this was one. Just as a player here, you just remember the size of the club, and you remember the fervent passion of the fans, and I understand completely, and I said it to the players this morning. I've stood in their shoes. I understand the trials and tribulations of being a Birmingham player, and I understand also the benefits and the massive positives of being a Birmingham player. And I think the quicker we can get that combined energy of the players and the fans and everyone related to the club working together to try and improve as quickly as possible, then I think we'll be moving in the right direction.
Did you seek any assurances about ownership and what you can and can't do, maybe in the transfer market when you were having your interview?
Yeah, I think I'm always going to ask various questions that are things that obviously as a prospective new manager that you need that stability to be able to work. I understand that, and I had reassurances on certain areas, particularly the team, which is obviously my main focus. The team, the initial thing was, have we got funds to be able to strengthen straight away if needs be. I'm not talking about huge funds. I'm not talking about massive amounts of money to bring top players in. I'm talking about, can we rejig and can we strengthen where we need to strengthen, and I think that's going to be prudent and just as, to be honest, it would be exactly the same as I've done for the last 2.5 years. I'll try and manage the club and run the club as though it's my money. And I think that's the thing to do, so I won't waste money if I don't have to waste money. I'll try and maximise exactly what we've got. I think that'd be easier to do over a longer period than initially. and again give the players an opportunity to impress me and stake a claim for the place in the team. And I think that's the first thing to do. There's lots of young players there. There's lots of energy and enthusiasm, and again, some that might have been overlooked previously will get an opportunity to show me what they're about.
You mentioned about your time at Burton and leaving a legacy there. Is that ultimately something that you want to do at this club for the long term?
Yeah, well, I think you have to. I think any job I've ever done, you try to have that outlook. You try to do it with a responsibility, because ultimately, at some point there'll be, I'm sure, another Birmingham manager, and there's obviously been quite a lot before me. So, it's not my chair. I'm just keeping it warm, and while I do so, I'll try to do it to the very best of my ability. And I can promise everybody, I can promise the fans that the one thing I will do is, and my staff again, is I'll do it with as much drive and desire as I'm possibly capable of giving. And I think that's really important to do that straight away.
Gary, it's well done. Obviously you've worked very hard to get yourself into the position that you have, where clubs in the top 2 divisions are looking at you.
Yep.
How big a gamble did you feel this was, coming to a club in the position it is in the table, and also obviously with the well-documented issues behind the scenes?
Well, I didn't feel it was a huge gamble. I saw it more as just a terrific opportunity. Obviously, over the last 6 months at Burton, there's been 1 or 2 opportunities presented to me. I felt as though those opportunities weren't right for me, and wouldn't have given me the opportunity to do the work that we would want to do at the next club we managed and next club we took over. I felt as though the opportunity to do that would be here. I'm aware of that I can't use a magic wand and suddenly bring 10 players in. I appreciate that, but at the same time, I've looked at every single plus and negative, and all I could find in my mind really were pluses, and that it's a fantastic opportunity. And certainly, the way I am as a character, I'll always seek that challenge, rather than look back and wished, I hadn't have played safe. So that's my aim, and that's a reason why I took the job.
And how do you assess this challenge, sort of in comparison to other ones you've had in your career as a player and manager?
Well, again, if I look back to various challenges, I finished with a career-ending injury at 30 years old, which some people would probably, cry in the cereal bowl for the next 2 years, but probably a month later, move on, get on with it. And what's the next challenge for me? And it's been no different with coaching, no different with management. When I went in at Burton, I'd had a fabulous time under Paul and really enjoyed my time, but we were unfortunate that we hadn't won for 14 games. There was a team low in confidence, and straight away I had to try to turn that around. For me, the job's no different here. It's just as big a challenge. It's no bigger a challenge just because the club's bigger in size and has far more fans. I won't view it in any way differently to Burton. And my aim will be to do exactly the same, to stabilise, improve very, very quickly, and then try to maximise everything we've got to get a team that can be successful over the next 2 or 3 years. Where you define success will be down to other people, not me. It'll be my aim to try and improve as quickly as possible.
Gary, from John Bett's on-field league with people like Joe Royal, Trevor and Jim Smith in his league.
Yeah.
What sort of manager are we going to get from you? What sort of manager are you going to bring?
Yeah, I think you always take little bits from all of those people. For every manager, I would learn lots of bits off. Learn lots of things off Trevor. Learned lots of things off the likes of Jim Smith in terms of how to man manage players and how to man manage situations. Jim was a master at that. You'd go into his office raging, wanting to fight him, and you'd come out laughing and not quite work out how he'd done it. And then you've got the likes of Steve McLaren, who very, very innovative on the training ground. Tried to be different to other coaches that I'd worked with. So certainly from my point of view, I coach, I want to get on the training ground, but also I like to think that, I'll talk to players and I'll treat them properly, and I'll try to give them the environment to want to improve. I said it to the players this morning, I'll create the environment for you to do that. then it's up to you to grasp it. You know, if you want to improve, great, and you'll come along. If you don't want to improve, then you might fall behind, and that'll be your opportunity to do that. Big on standards, big on doing the right things every day. That's on and off the field. And once again, I've spoke to the players about it this morning and said, look, you know, what I will do is I'll give you everything I can as a manager, provided you adhere to the standards and what we expect. If you drop below those standards and don't give me that, i.e. be a team player, be unselfish, work for the team. If players don't do that, you know, then they won't play, and the players will know that very, very quickly. Bro. Grand. Done? Great. Brilliant. Time all right, pal.
All right, mate.
Okay.
Good, you.